hope you all are good. Today I am going to discuss about Unit 2 of the paper titled Social and Political Philosophy. This unit will be discussed into two separate videos. The first video is on social contract theory, Hobbes' introduction, and the second video is on social contract theory, Hobbes' origin of society. So now we are going to discuss about Thomas Hobbes' introduction. The social and political philosopher Thomas Hobbes was born in Westport, Malmesbury, England on 5th April 1588. He was died on 4th December 1679. He was an English political philosopher, scientist and historian. He is best known for his political philosophy and his philosophical work Leviathan, which is published on 1651. Thomas Hobbes views government primarily as a device for ensuring collective security. Political authority is justified by a hypothetical social contract among the people. His enduring contribution is as a political philosopher who justified wide-ranging government powers on the basis of the self-interested consent. Thomas Hobbes was interested in politics and natural science respectively. He exposes to practical politics before he became a student of political philosophy. He also engaged himself to resolve the political issues. That's why he was enormously engaged with social contract theory. So this video will be focused on how Hobbes formed the idea of social contract theory, or what is social theory according to Hobbes and what is social contract theory for general meaning. Objectives of the study. So the objectives of the study of this video is, the first one is to know the meaning of the term contract and the term social contract. To understand the origin of social contract theory, the second objectives, and the third objective is to spell out social contract theory from the perspective of Thomas Hobbes, that how Hobbes deals with this concept about social contract theory. So now we are going to discuss about these three objectives accordingly. So before going to discuss about social contract theory, we must know the meaning of the terms contract and social contract. So the term contract means agreement or commitment, which is formal and legally binding agreement. It is a legal document that asserts a formal agreement between two people or the agreement itself. Thus, the term contract seems to imply an officially agreed upon undertaking to perform work for the specified task for a specified amount of time for an organization. The meaning of the term social contract is, on the other hand, agreement between two people or two parties that establish mutual contract and are enforceable by law. It is widely accepted belief among the scholars of political science. It is applied to the political theories of the most renowned and influential thinkers. More fundamentally, the concept of social contract claims that society is created by a sort of agreement. So, social contract theory states that people live together in society in accordance with an agreement that establishes moral and political rules of behavior. Some people consider that if humans live according to a social contract, then humans live morally by their own choice and not because a divine being requires it. Society is a group of individuals and their common views, likeness or goal. Without individual, there is no society. So, there is a interrelation between individual and society. Since ancient period to modern time, there are some thinkers who have discussed on the concept of individual, the concept of society and the concept of social contract theory, etc. Social contract theory. So now what is exactly mean the sentence or the term that social contract theory that Hobbes has discussed? Social contract theory is an individual's moral and political obligations which are dependent upon a contract or agreement among them to form a society in which they live. Though it was Socrates who uses the social contract agreement to explain to Crito that why he must remain in prison and accept the death penalty. Here, Crito was the dialogue written by Plato. However, social contract theory is precisely associated with modern moral and political theory. Thomas Hobbes describes it as the theory for the first time. After Hobbes, Locke and Rousseau are the best known supporter of this enormously influential theory. It is one of the dominant theories within moral and political theory throughout the history of the modern West. The origin of social contract theory is in ancient period. The word social contract have been found in the philosophy of Socrates. As we have already mentioned that he uses the social contract argument to explain Crito. Crito is a dialogue written by the ancient Greek philosopher Plato. Though Socrates does not directly contribute to social contract theory like Hobbes, Locke and Rousseau, yet his ideas on justice, virtue and the role of individual within society have influenced social contract theories indirectly. He believes in the importance of moral values, individual integrity and the pursuit of wisdom through dialectical reasoning. It can be seen as foundational elements in the discussions about social contracts and the governance. Notably, the contract described by Socrates is an implicit by his choice to stay in Athens even though he is free to leave. Again, the social contract theory presented in Plato's famous dialogue The Republic too. Although Glaucon is one of the characters of Plato's dialogue Republic, offers a candidate for an answer to the question what is justice. While Socrates asked him about the justice, Glaucon representing a social contract explanation for the nature of justice. In Crito, Socrates argues regarding justice, injustice and the appropriate response to injustice. He formulates an undeniable argument as to why he must stay in prison and accept the death penalty rather than escape and go into exile in another Greek city. He believes that injustice may not be answered with injustice. Therefore, he personifies the laws of Athens to prove his voice and explain that he has acquired an overwhelming obligation to obey the laws because they have made his entire way of life. In fact, his existence is possible because of the city Athens. The law of Athens made it possible to marry his father and mother, and therefore to have legitimate children, including himself. He believes that citizens have an implicit social contract with their city-state. According to him, breaking the law would be unjust and would undermine the social order. The laws of Athens are like parental figure for Socrates. They have nurtured and protected citizens, and citizens owe them respect and obedience. So, disobeying the laws would be akin to betraying this parental figure. It should be moral duty for every individual towards the society and the governance. Citizens should prioritize justice over personal freedom for Socrates. He follows the agreement or social contract and obey the laws by accepting the death penalty. Thus, justice is more than the simple mutual agreement to law. It is the theory which is originated during the age of enlightenment. It is the agreement among the individuals to come together for the protection of themselves, for their common interest, for a common goal, and for the welfare of themselves. In the pre-social state, the individuals are in a state of nature where there is no government and therefore no law for the individuals. They live independently. In such a state, men are guided by natural laws, but after some time, they decided to leave their independency and come together to form a state. Thus, state is the creation of individuals. Natural laws are now replaced by man-made laws. So, we can say man-made natural laws. According to Hobbes, before the creation of society, human nature is different. All humans are equal and practice equal rights, whatever is necessary for their survival. They have equal rights of hurting or killing each other for their own protection. Every individual have equal freedom to do what he wishes for. He admits that everyone created equally. Therefore, everyone is equally capable of killing each other. Differences in strength can be overcome and the strong can destroy the weak. He believes that people have desire to seek more and more power and are not satisfied with their existing powers, and therefore conflicts arises between them. Humans become selfish and ready to protect themselves by any cost. Therefore, Hobbes asserts the natural law, which is known as the general law. It concerns with what to do or what not to do. Humans should know this law for their safety. But man is selfish again, and they are in conflict to each other. In spite of their egoistic nature, they try to change their moral behavior. They think of a peace, goodness and rightness as the necessary part for their survival. They come together for an agreement in the form of a contract, which is known as social contract. Therefore, social contract is formed by individual group of individual beings. Hence, it is concluded that Hobbes' view on human nature leads him to the development of social contract theory. Now we come to the conclusion. On the basis of the above discussion, we may come to know that social contract theory is not a new concept, since it is developed by the modern thinker Hobbes. The idea of morality, equality, justice, rightness, wrongness, governance, law, society, individual, etc. are already have been there for the very beginning of human life. But it would be formalized in a different specific way by some thinkers who have been worked on moral and political philosophy. Social contract theory is the transformation of individuals' needs and priorities. The fundamental elements of a human is to evolve social contract which will enormously give a peaceful society as well as the state that the human live. For the maturity of contemporary thinkers, this contract is an ideal framework for speculating on how things ought to be rather than a historical occurrences, much less a genuine legal record. The two fundamental tenets of it is that humans as individuals are somehow prehistory compared to any established social order, necessitating the justification of state obedience, and that human condition outside of the socially constructed state, or in what is referred to as the state of nature, is ultimately unsatisfactory, giving humans an incentive to flee. However, the authority of the sovereign is absolute because there is no authority above the sovereign for him. It does not mean that the power of the sovereign is all-inclusive. The social contract allows individuals to leave the state of nature and entire civil society. But the former remains a threat and returns as soon as governmental power collapses. Since the power of Leviathan or the political state is uncontested, yet its collapse is very unlikely and occurs only when it is no longer able to protect its subjects. Therefore, social contract theory raises the possibility that the need for social order and certain inherent constraints might provide us with a natural basis for morality. In general, social contract theory based on human life and the moral judgments. Morality consists in the set of rules governing how people are to treat one another that rational people will agree to accept for their mutual benefit on the condition that others follow those rules as well. There are some advantages and some disadvantages of social contract theory. The advantage of social contract theory is that it provides very clear answers to very difficult questions in ethical theory. For example, what moral rules are we bound to follow and how are those rules justified? Why is it reasonable for us to follow the moral rules? Under what circumstances are we allowed to break the rules? It also seems to provide an objective basis for morality. The disadvantages of social contract theory includes the questions about whether the social contract ever had a basis in history and how it addresses non-participants in the contract. Herewith, we are going to end up the first video on Introduction to Social Contract Theory, Hobbes. You can evaluate yourself by answering the questions provided below. There are some questions that you may exercise yourself. The first question is, you must know what is the meaning of the term contract, or what do you understand by the term contract? Question number 2 is, what do you mean by the term social? You must have to have idea about the concept of social. What exactly mean while we are saying the term social? And the third question is, define social contract. What is social contract? Or what is the agreement that Hobbes had asserted in his philosophy? The fourth question is, what is social contract theory? This is the main part of this video, that what is social contract theory? The fifth question is, write Hobbes' concept of social contract theory. How Hobbes explain how Hobbes had asserted about the concept of social contract theory. So, these 5 questions will help you to understand the concept of social contract theory, and it will develop the trend of Thomas Hobbes' famous social contract theory. So, this is the first video where we have dealt with social contract theory, Hobbes' introduction. In the next video, we will discuss on social contract theory, Hobbes' origin of society. Thank you.